discuss what are the laws of motion. Okay, so let's start the class. So this is what we already know about force. So what is force? Force is basically anything. Sometimes when we apply some force on an object, it can be a pulling force, it can be a pushing force, it can be a lifting force. So when we apply force, the object moves. We also learned in the previous classes that when we apply force, the object can change its shape, the object can change its speed, the object can change its direction, the object can also change its state of motion. So the effects of force also we learned in the previous class, that is your class 8, right? So, and we also learned about friction, right? What is friction? Friction is basically a resistive force, which means if there is an object which is actually moving and it is in contact with another surface or another object. For example, suppose this is a ball, right? And this ball is continuously moving, on a ground. Relative to the ground, it is moving. So what is going to happen? Continuously the ground is going to apply a force which is opposite to the direction of the motion. So which is the direction of the motion? The direction of the motion is this. This is the direction of the motion. So the friction is going to be in the opposite direction. That is why friction will always try to stop the object. So this is the prior knowledge or what we have about force and friction force, correct? So with that we are going to move forward and also discuss what is balanced and unbalanced force. Now this also we've learned in the previous class. What is balanced and unbalanced force? Balanced force is basically when two sides of forces are equal. It is called balanced force. Like for example, suppose when we at times go and buy vegetables, what do? What does a vegetable vendor, what he does is he places one side your vegetables, on the other side he places those weights, right? So that he will try and make the two sides equal. So suppose if this is the balance, on one side he is going to place your vegetables, on the other side he is going to put some weights. So if both the sides are equal, this needle, this pointer is going to be in the center. So that's how you know that it is a balanced force. Okay, so balanced means equal and opposite force. So both the sides of forces are equal. If this is going to be 2 kgs, this is also going to be 2 kgs. So that means it is balanced, correct? And it is equal and opposite force. However, what is unbalanced force that we know about? Unbalanced force means on both the sides the forces will not be equal. Okay, so now can you just tell me what is the difference between balanced and unbalanced force? For you, for easy understanding, I have already mentioned some of the points. These are very important points. You got to note down these points in your copies, correct? Now suppose in the case of balanced force, right? In the case of balanced force, as I already told you, that both the sides, the forces will be equal and they will be opposite. Okay, on both the sides it will be equal and it will be opposite and equal, so that both the sides are equal. That is what we've discussed in balanced force. However, unbalanced force means both the side, the forces will not be equal. Unequal and opposite force will be unbalanced force, correct? So that is the first difference between balanced and unbalanced force. Second is, suppose if you have a rope here, right? And this is the center of the rope. Now 3 students are pulling this rope on the left side and 3 are pulling the rope on the right hand side. Okay, now suppose these 3 children on the left hand side together applies 100 newtons this side. These 3 children also are applying 100 newtons towards the right. Now is this force balanced? Yes, this force is balanced, correct? So if the forces are balanced, is this rope going to move? No, it is not going to move. So that is my second point. The second point is, any balanced force will not cause any change in the position or motion of the object. It is not going to cause any motion, any change in the position. This rope is going to remain at its own position only. Okay, now next is the unbalanced force. Now unbalanced force, what is going to happen? Suppose if on the right hand side, if they are applying 400 newtons, correct, and on the left hand side the three students are applying 100 newtons. Okay, so is this force balanced or unbalanced? It is an unbalanced force. How do you know it is an unbalanced force? Because on one side 400 newtons are being applied, and on the left hand side 100 newtons are being applied. So it is an unbalanced force. So which side is the rope going to move? The rope is going to be pushed towards the right. Okay, it is going to be pushed towards the right. So it is an unbalanced force. So I want you to write the difference between balanced force and unbalanced force in your notes. Okay, in your class notes. Fine. So this is all that we've already studied in class 8. So, we are just memorizing it again so that we are able to understand the concepts which are now to come ahead. Okay. Now we will move on to discussing the laws of motion, which is actually in your syllabus. Okay. Now, what are these laws of motion? There are 3 laws of motion that we are going to talk in this chapter. Fine. And the first law that we are going to touch is this. Now suppose, understand this first law, then I will tell you the statement of the law. Fine. So are you able to hear me clearly? I think from now onwards the voice will be clear. And in case you have any doubts, then please put up your queries, write your doubts in the chat box, so that in between I can just have a look at the chat box and I can clarify all your doubts. Okay. So understand what is the situation here. Now suppose in the first that you see here, this is the ball, the first ball here. Now if this ball is kept at a, so let's say, a position, and if I apply a force, okay, then what is going to happen? If I apply force, is the ball going to move? Yes, the ball is going to move, and the ball will come to a halt. The ball will come to a stop after traveling some time, right? Now suppose, because all of you know that there is a friction which is continuously acting on the ball, so what will happen? After some time the ball is going to stop at some position, but it is definite that it is going to come to a halt, correct? Suppose, let us consider that there is no friction. Okay, there is no friction force. Now what is going to happen? If there is no friction force, will the ball stop? If there is no friction force, will the ball stop? No. The ball will continue to move, indefinitely. The ball will travel, indefinitely. It will not come to a halt. Correct? Okay. Now, let us look at this case, a second case. Suppose I have a second ball here. Now, this ball is at rest. Okay? This ball is at rest. So, if there is no force which is being applied on this ball, is this ball going to move? No, this ball is not going to move. This ball is going to be continuously at rest. Okay, so now that you understand this basic thing, one more question. Okay, I will come to the first law and the statement. Okay, now one more question is, suppose you are having a trolley, okay, and this black color thing that you see here, this is some kind of a trolley, and suppose you're pulling this trolley from this side, okay, and you're actually trying to pull this trolley towards the right. The ball is inside the trolley and the ball is stationary. Initially the ball is stationary. Fine. So if you pull this trolley, what is going to happen to the ball? What do you think is going to happen to the ball if you pull this trolley to the right? Is this ball going to be stationary in the trolley? Is this ball going to move to the right? Or is the ball going to move to the left? What do you feel? What do you think? Yes, the ball is going to go towards the left if you pull the trolley towards your right. Okay, so are you able to is the screen changing for you? Are you able to see the screen clearly? Okay. Now, yeah, I want you all to give me a thumbs up if the screen is clear to you and if the screen is changing. Okay, fine. Now, next, suppose, so this is very clear to you. Now, if suppose you take a trolley, okay, and if you move the trolley towards your right, then how is the ball going to move? The ball is going to move towards the left. You can try this at your homes also, right? You can try this today, right? So why does it happen? The ball is stationary. You are only moving the trolley. Why is that the ball is not moving towards the right, and why is that the ball is moving towards your left? So I want you to keep this question with you. We are going to answer it in the slides to come, next. Okay, fine. Now, so as you saw in the previous slide, what did we discuss? We discussed that any object, or let's say for example a ball or a trolley or whatever it is, any object, if it is at rest, okay, and you do not apply any force, so the ball will continue to be at rest. Suppose the second ball here, look at the second ball here and look at the first ball. Now if the ball is at rest, then if you do not apply any force, it will continue to be at rest. Nothing is going to happen to the ball. Next, suppose in the first ball, if you apply a force, then the ball will continue to be in motion. Okay, and it will continue. If there is, considering that there is no friction force, it will continue to be in motion. It will not stop. So these two statements are clear. Okay, what are the two statements I've told you? Look at these two statements here. The first statement is that objects which are moving will continue to move, and objects which are at rest will continue to be at rest. Fine. Objects which are moving will continue to be moving, and objects which are rest will continue to be at rest. This is exactly our first law of motion. Isn't it very simple? It really sounds simple. It is in fact simple. Okay, how? Look at the statement of the first law. An object in the state of rest, or in motion will continue to be in the same state. Same state means whosoever is in motion will continue to be in motion. Whosoever is at rest will continue to be at rest. So whichever state the object is going to remain in the same state. ठीक है, जो मूव हो रहा है वो मूव होता रहेगा, और जो रुका हुआ है वो एक जगह पे आपका रुका हुआ रहेगा. That is the statement. Look at the last part of the statement. Unless acted upon by an external force. Unless acted upon by an external force means unless and until it is acted upon by a force. Okay, then only any moving object will stop. Then only any stopped object will start moving. Only if you apply some external force. And what is this external force that I'm talking about? External force means outside force. Okay, external force means outside force, something other than the object. For example, if you see these two weights which are kept here, the first weight is at rest. Okay, so it will be at rest forever if we do not apply any external force. The second, let's say, is in motion. If this is in motion, it will continue to be in motion unless and until we apply some force. The moment I apply a force to this object, suppose the object is moving, it has come here, only if I stop it with my hand, then only it is going to stop, otherwise it will not going to stop. So this is our first law. Isn't this law simple? And the statement of first law is as flashed on the screen. First law says that any object in the state of rest or in motion will continue to be in the same state unless acted upon by an external force. Okay, so this is what you're supposed to write. Okay, if my voice is not clear, do let me know. I will within 30 seconds I'm going to make it correct. Otherwise, as far as I'm concerned, I think most of you can hear clearly. Okay, now First law of motion is also called as law of inertia. Okay, first law of motion is also called as law of inertia. Now, what is this inertia? So we will talk about inertia now, but before that, let me just give you an example. Suppose sometimes what happens is, I'm sure you must never have tried this and do not even try this, but you must have seen people doing this. Suppose they're traveling, in a bus, and the bus is continuously moving, and in between they want to just come down, get off the bus, get off the running bus, I mean. Okay, so when what they generally do is they don't wait for the bus to stop. What they do is they try and jump out of the bus. Okay, so if the bus is moving towards this direction as shown by the arrow, and the person is getting down and coming out of the bus, then just imagine what you have seen. Have you does it happen that the person just jumps off the bus and comes to a halt, or what does he do to come to the rest properly, comfortably? What he does is he actually runs for some time with the bus after getting down. So he gets down from the bus and he runs to a certain distance. For some time he runs, along the bus, in the direction of the bus. If the bus is moving like this is the motion of the bus. The person also runs for some time and then he comes to a stop. Because suppose if he suddenly comes to a stop, what would happen? He would actually end up hurting himself. So what he does is he runs along with the bus. Okay, so why does he do that? Why is he running along the bus? That is also because of the inertia of the bus. The bus is heavy, the bus is huge. He has to move along the bus because he is lighter. The person is lighter than the bus. So what he does is he should run along the bus for some time, maybe for 5 seconds, maybe for 7 seconds, and then only come to a halt so as to avoid himself getting hurt from this act. Okay, so that is again more about inertia we are going to talk in the next slide. So this is the first example of inertia that you must have observed. Okay, second example is this. Also you can try today also. Okay, at your places what you can do is you take a glass tumbler and you place a small cardboard over the glass tumbler. Fine. And over the cardboard, what you do is you place a 10 rupee coin. Okay, and then you try to flick the coin with your hand. The flick has to be quick. The flick has to be very quick. So if you flick the coin, what you will observe is that the card is going to fly away, but the coin will be dropped inside the tumbler. Now again, what is responsible for this coin falling down of the coin in the tumbler? It is again inertia. Fine. Now understand what is inertia. Inertia is actually the tendency of any object to remain at rest or to remain in motion. For example, suppose if I'm sitting, now this is just for your understanding, suppose if I'm sitting at a place, right? So I will have a lot of resistance to move. I will say, no, I don't want to move from my chair. I'm happy sitting in the chair. Fine. Suppose I'm moving. Then I'll say, no, I won't stop now because I'm moving. I like to move. Correct? So, any body, suppose if it is at rest, it will continue to be at rest. It doesn't want itself, to be disturbed. If it is moving, then it will continue to move. It will say, no, I won't stop now. So, it is a kind of resistance to change in the state of the motion. Whosoever is moving will continue to move, will not stop. Whosoever is at halt, is at rest, will continue to be at rest. Okay. So the resistance to change its state is known as inertia. For in this case, understand now this case now. This coin was at rest, correct? The coin was at rest. So even if you move the card, you're actually flicking the card away. You have flicked the card away. So the card is moving, but the coin which was at rest initially will continue to be at rest. Will say that, okay, I was at rest initially, I am not going to move from my position. So it will tend to be at rest. Tend to be at rest means it will continue to be at rest. So what will happen? Card will go, but the coin will be at its own position because, it avoids moving. It avoids moving from its plates. So the coin will be here, and the coin is immediately going to fall down in the glass. Okay. So that is what is inertia. Let's also take few more examples and understand what is inertia. Okay, so look at this. If I suppose I put up a question to you as to what is the very important, again you can note it down somewhere in your notes, and very important again. The coin, what is the reason for the coin to fall down in the glass? First is that the coin has some mass. Okay, the coin has some mass and it is at rest. It was at rest initially, right? In the first case, this is the first case, the initial case before flicking the card. This is the second case. So before flicking the card, the coin was at rest, and hence it will tend to be at rest. So the coin will say, okay, fine, I was at rest, I don't like to move from my position, so I will continue to be at rest. Now when we flick the card, what happens? Which is kept on the tumbler, the coin will have the tendency to be at rest, to be at the same position, and that's why the coin will fall down, right? I hope this is very clear to you. Let's move on to the other examples and understand what is inertia. Now this is another example that I want to discuss with you. This is, have you all tried this first of all? Yes, you must have tried. Okay, fine. Just wait for 10 seconds if my voice is not clear. Okay, now I think my voice should be clear. Yeah, now it should be clear. Okay, so have you all tried this? Sometimes, the teacher asks you to take out your, your book or your notebook. So what you do is, if you already know that, this particular book is your book, what you generally do is, you try and flick your book, from a pile of the books. Okay, so what you do is, suppose if this particular book is your book, what you do is, so these are the books that are on the top and these are the books that are kept in the bottom. So what you do, you quickly flick your notebook or your book. So how do you do that? If you flick this particular notebook, what happens to the other notebooks? This top piles of the book exactly falls and lands over the other two books which are kept in the bottom. They don't get disturbed. They exactly land over the other books. How does it happen now? Understand this case also. Okay, so again, if you're flicking this book, you are only moving this particular book. You're only moving this particular book. Okay, so the book which are kept on the top, these 4 books. So these books have some mass, and these books have some inertia. Inertia means the top books here, these are the top books. Okay, these top books were at rest, so they were at rest. Okay, these books were at rest, so they were at rest and they will tend to be at rest. Tend to be means वो पहले भी रेस्ट में थे और आगे भी वो रेस्ट में ही रहना चाहेंगे. Correct? They don't like to move from the position of the rest, from the state of the rest. Correct? So these books were at rest and they will continue to be at rest unless and until something pushes them. They will continue to be at rest. So what will happen? When you flick this center book, all the other books will continue to be at rest and they will exactly land over the bottom books, the books which are kept in the at the bottom. Okay, so what is the reason for these books to land perfectly over the other books is this: the books on the top are at rest. Okay, hence they will tend to be at rest. पहले भी रेस्ट में थे, आगे भी रेस्ट में ही रहना चाहेंगे. Correct? So when we flick that one particular book which is kept over the other books, the books will have a tendency to remain at rest and fall exactly over the other books. So this is the reason why the books won't get disturbed. Okay, this is again because of inertia. any object which will have mass will also have inertia. Okay, so from this example you must have understood the example that we discussed in the earlier in the earlier slides, that when a bus is moving, why is it that it is very important for you to run along with the bus? Is because the bus is heavy, the bus has certain mass, so, and it is much more heavier than you. So when the bus is moving at a particular speed, it is very important for you also to move along with the bus, so as to not get hurt in this act. Okay, so that is because of inertia. So what is inertia? You can note down the definition of inertia. Okay, beta, from my side and from the others, I think the others are able to hear me. Your connection may not be proper, so just wait for some time, it will be okay. Okay, fine. So let's understand what is inertia. So what is inertia? Inertia is a natural tendency of an object to resist a change in its state of motion or of rest. Now understand this definition very, very clearly. Okay, inertia is a natural tendency. It is with each and every body that has certain mass. Inertia is with everybody. Inertia is with you, inertia is with me, inertia is with most of the object which has certain mass, right? So it is a natural tendency, first of all. Okay, it is a natural tendency of any object to resist its change. Means if I'm sitting, I like to sit. If I'm moving, I like to move. So I don't like to change the state. Objects don't like to change the state. They have this resistance to change the state of motion or of rest. So that is your inertia. Very, very important definition. Please make a note of it. Okay, so that's why we say that the first law of motion is also called as the law of inertia, because first law of motion also talks the same thing. That also says that any body which is moving will continue to move, any body which is at rest will continue to be at rest and will not change its state of motion. So the first law of motion is also known as law of inertia. Again, a very important question: why is that the first law of motion is known as law of inertia? Fine. Okay, now, so by all these examples you must have understood that inertia and mass are related. Okay, how are they related? More the mass, more the inertia. Or in other words, I can say the mass of an object is the measure of its inertia. If you want to know what is the inertia, what is your inertia, what is the inertia of a book, what is the inertia of a pencil, what is the inertia of a truck, what is the inertia of a plane, you've got to measure its mass, which means more the mass, more will be the inertia. Okay, lesser the mass, lesser will be the inertia. So mass and inertia are directly proportional. Okay, the inertia and mass are directly proportional. More the mass, more the inertia. Lesser the mass, lesser the inertia. Very important. Fine. So we've understood what is first law of motion. We've understood what is inertia, law of inertia, how the inertia actually determines, how the mass determines the inertia. Okay. So now if you would like to answer me, which of these two will have more inertia, a small stone or a huge rock? You can write your answers in the chat box so that I know how many of you understood inertia. Which of them will have more inertia? Just write your answers in the chat box. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. The rock, which is heavy, has got more mass, will be having more inertia. Fine. Okay. Next is few more examples. Which of them will have again more inertia if you compare the bicycle and a car? Yeah, bicycle and a car. Out of these, just write your answers again in the chat box. Out of this bicycle and the car, which one of them will have more inertia? Yes, exactly. You wrote it correctly. It is the car, because the car will have more mass. Again, 50 kgs or 5 kg weight. Which of them will have more inertia? Absolutely. The 50 kg mass will have more inertia. Very good. Very nice. Okay. So I'm sure that you understood what is mass. So now again, look at this example. So suppose you're trying to push. There's one more thing. One is which is having more inertia. So whichever is having more mass, it will be very difficult to push that object. So 50 kg mass and this 5 kg mass. You know, because 50 kg mass will have more inertia, so it is very difficult to push that 50 kg mass. What does it mean? It means that the 50 kg mass says that I am not going to move from my position. Okay, because I am at rest, I will continue to be at rest. I will not move from my position. I will not move from my position. Okay, so any object which will have more inertia, it will be generally difficult to change the position or the state of the motion of the object. Okay, is it understood? Fine. So now you know what is the definition. Okay, now let's come to this new okay, let's come to this now. Suppose now you understood about inertia. Now also answer this query. One more question, I will put it up to you. So let's say you have a bicycle and you have a car. Okay, and both of them, both the bicycle and the car, they are moving at equal speed. This is moving at 20 kilometers per hour and this is also moving at 20 kilometers per hour, and there's a person standing right in front of them. So will the cycle going to affect the person more, or the car will have more impact on the person? Who is going to be badly injured because of the velocity is same, mind you? I'm asking a very important question. The velocity of both are same. Here velocity is 20 kgs and cycle also 20 kgs. Which one of them is going to hurt you more or hurt the person more? Yeah, you would say the car is going to injure the person very badly. Okay, it is going to have more effect. Yes, absolutely. Now why? Because both of them are moving with the same velocity. Then why is it that the car is going to have more impact on the person? Because the mass of the cycle is less as compared to the mass of the car. Okay, here mass is involved. The mass of the car is more. That's why it is going to have more effect. Okay, now let's see this. I'm going to put up again one more question to you. Okay, now there's the same bicycle. Yes, due to the mass. Aaron, very nice. Due to the mass. Okay, very good. So the same cycle and the same car, but now the cycle is moving at a much higher speed, which is 25 kilometers per hour, as compared to the car. The car is moving very slowly. You can actually walk faster than car. In such a way, the speed of the car is such that you can move faster than the car. The car is moving dead slow, but the cycle is going at 25 kilometers per hour. Now, which one do you think is going to affect you more? In the second case, who is going to affect you more? Suppose you're standing and there's one cycle comes at 25 kilometers per hour. Who is going to? Yes, absolutely. It is the cycle who is going to actually cause much injury to the person who is standing on the road rather than a car. Okay. Now here, what is involved here? Again, in the previous case, you said it is cycle because the mass is less. In this case, you said the cycle because the mass is less, but the speed is more. So that means, which means both the quantities mass as well as your velocity are involved in causing injury to the person. Both. So it is a combination of both. Absolutely, very nice. It is a cycle. Yes, all of you are right. So this means it is the combination of both the mass and the velocity which is involved in the impact, in the final impact on the person. So now we are going to see. So again, same thing. You can move a cycle, but it is difficult to move a truck. Here what is involved? Here your mass is involved. Correct? Because truck is heavy. Okay, so let's understand what is that quantity which will determine the final impact, and the quantity is known as momentum. This is a new term that we are hearing. momentum. Momentum is the new quantity. So what is momentum? Momentum combines both. Momentum means it is velocity into your mass which will give you momentum. So product of the two terms which will give you momentum, velocity and the mass, is going to give you momentum. So this is a new term that we are hearing. Okay, so in one case you said because of mass, in the other case you said velocity. So how can we know which will have more impact? So what you do is you multiply both. You multiply both. So this will give you momentum. So look at how momentum is designated. Momentum is designated by a small p, and momentum is the product of mass and velocity, and the formula for momentum is m into v. Very, very important. So suppose if I give you, there's a car which is moving at 10 kilometers per hour and its weight is, let's say, 50 kgs. Okay, so what will be the momentum? The momentum will be 10 into 50 because 10 is the speed and 50 is the mass. So mass into velocity. So it will give you 500. Okay, but suppose there is a bicycle. Okay, there's a bicycle. The speed of the bicycle is, let's say, 50, which is much more, 50 kilometers per hour. But its mass is only 5 kgs. Okay, so what is the momentum? The momentum is going to be 250. So now you know, if I stand in front of the same car and if I stand in front of the cycle, then how do I know which is going to impact more? From which object am I going to get hurt more? I'm going to get hurt more because of the car, because the momentum of the car is more in this case. Are you all able to understand how to know the impact? Very nice. How to know the impact? Just multiply mass and velocity. Whichever is higher, that object is going to hurt me more. Now in this case, suppose the bicycle would have been going at 500 kilometers per hour. 500 kilometers per hour. It cannot go, but let's say, okay, 500 kilometers per hour. Then what would have been the momentum? The momentum would have been like this. Okay, momentum would have been like this. So then in which case the bicycle would have actually hurted you more, right? Impact of the bicycle would have been more. So that's how you have to calculate. Just multiply the two terms. Okay, now so that is about the momentum. Let's also, okay, so just if suppose in if we ask what is the what is the unit of momentum? Look at this. The unit of momentum is kg meter per second. Kg meter per second. How do you calculate the momentum? See, we know momentum is mass into velocity. What is mass? Mass is always in kgs. That is the standard unit. Into what is velocity? Meters per second. So it will become kg meter per second. Okay, that is the unit. So if you're asked what is the unit of momentum, what is momentum, please define momentum. I have already defined momentum for you. It is the product. Then please write that what is the unit. Also look at what I've written. It has both direction and magnitude. How do you know direction and magnitude? Magnitude, of course, we just calculated. One was 500, then it was 25,000. So how do we know that it has direction? What makes it having direction? Now look at this. Because it involves velocity. Because it involves this term velocity. And what is velocity? Velocity has both direction and magnitude. So that means momentum will also have both direction and magnitude. So what kind of a quantity is it? It is a vector quantity. It is a vector quantity. Very, very important. Okay? So is inertia, momentum and first law of motion clear to all of you? Okay. Now let's understand some of the examples or applications of application of first law of motion. Suppose if I ask you sometimes, let's say, why do you fall forward when a car suddenly stops? So suppose you're traveling in a car. Okay. Okay, someone is Shashwat. He's asking if velocity is given in kilometers per hour, we have to convert it into meters per second. Yes, you have to convert it into meters per second, because meters per second is the standard unit, okay, SI unit. You have to convert. Remember, the mass has to be in kgs, okay. The mass here, the mass should always be in kgs, velocity should always be in meters per second, time always has to be in seconds, distance always has to be in meters. These are the standard units. Remember these units in your entire journey. Whenever you are learning physics or you take up higher physics, these are the standard units that are going to be. Okay, next is, understand that we'll take this example. Suppose suddenly you stop a car, okay. Just a second, give me just 30 seconds. उधर ही छोड़ दो, बाद में साइन कर दूंगी, छोड़ दो उधर ही. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, sorry for that. Okay, so suppose if you have a car, what happens when you suddenly stop the car? Okay, how do you fall? You fall forward. You suddenly hit your windscreen. Why does it happen? You're moving, okay, you're moving with certain velocity. You're moving like this with certain velocity. And you suddenly stop the car. So you hit the windscreen. Your head goes and hits the windscreen. Why is it so? So it is because of inertia. It is because of the first law of motion. What does the first law says? Now, if you're traveling in your car, your car is continuously moving, right? So what happens is, your body knows that. Just a second. Okay, so your body was, yeah, who has answered this? Because we are in motion, we want to be, absolutely, very nice. Chanchal Verma, okay, very nice, Chanchal. Yeah, because see, the body is continuously in motion, okay. When the body is continuously in motion, it will want to remain in motion. It will tend to be in motion. The body will say, fine, I was moving and I will continue to move. I don't like to stop. But now what happens is, suddenly when you put a stop to your car, what happens? Your body will always want to be moving. So body is moving forward. So that's why your head will go forward and bang the windscreen. That is the, yes, because of inertia. Isha, very good. It is because of inertia. Very good. Avijit, very nice. So you understood this. Same is the case with, suppose if you're, why do we fall backwards when a car suddenly starts from the rest? Suppose you're sitting in a bus, okay. The bus is stationary. Okay. Now, if it is stationary, suddenly the driver comes and the driver starts the bus. So when he suddenly starts the bus, what happens? All the passengers and your body and the driver and everything which was inside the bus was at rest. So remember, was at rest. They were all at rest. So they were all at rest. They will continue to be at rest. So when the driver comes and starts the bus suddenly, so the bus moves forward, but all your bodies are going to move backwards, because the bodies will think that, no, we were at rest, we will continue to be in our own position, which was behind. So the bus is moving forward, but suddenly your head and your bodies will fall backwards. It is also because of inertia. So when you write your answers, please mention because of inertia. Please mention because of, law of inertia or the first law of motion, and explain like how I've explained to you. Okay? So these are few examples. We have only done the first law of motion today. I don't like to extend it because otherwise it would be too much for you. I hope you've understood. We have 10 minutes. I would like to take any questions from you. Put up your questions on the chat box if you have not understood anything, and just let me know if the speed is okay.